Hello there. You are listening to the Light FM's Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
This is Alicia.
Hey, I'm Tricia.
And we are so glad you are here today. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Today we're going to talk about trust, which is a hard topic to talk about, especially if you've been hurt. I'll just go ahead and tell you I have some trust issues. Some trust issues are mine. And especially when it comes to relationships, and I think that affects your relationship with God as well, because you tend to be very guarded and you tend to not want to believe the best about people. And I think just trust is a hard thing all the way around. I've been having some conversations with my kiddo because, you know, they're learning how to build friendships and learn how to navigate that and how to build trust and how to find the right kind of friends and how that plays into her relationship. So long time ago, I chose Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 as my life verse. Like I was 18. Like, don't ever choose a life verse when you're 18. Like, I'd made it through, Algebra 2 and a breakup of 3 months, Like, that was it. But trust in the Lord with all your heart. And then this is the hardest part for me. Lean not on your own understanding. Because that's not trust. When you're leaning on your own understanding, you're trusting in yourself.
Right.
And so that has been my struggle and my challenge for 30 years.
I think that particular verse is very helpful when you're going through a hard time and you don't understand why. Maybe it's a health issue you're dealing with and you're like, why is this happening? And is it going to get better? Or if it doesn't, why did this happen? And for me, when I go to the trust not in your own understanding, that helps me so much to say, you know what, I don't have to understand. I just have to trust that this is, there's some reason, there's going to be some good come from this, one day in heaven there, maybe I'll get all the answers. I don't know. Maybe I never will, but that God knows. I don't have to know.
So I think that when you become a believer, you kind of give up your right to understand everything.
That's a good way to put it.
You kind of.
That's hard though. When you really think about it, you give up your right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you really are trusting God, you're saying, I don't need to understand everything.
But I want to understand.
I know.
I know.
Why is that so hard?
It's true.
But I like understanding, because if I understand, then it just makes it fall into place. You're like, okay, I may not agree, but I understand.
I'll tell you what it is for me. Control.
Oh, sure,
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
I just want to control and manipulate. And, God, would you just put your stamp of approval on my little plan down here?
Like, God, you may have forgotten about this one little thing. I think I've got a great idea for you. But I did hear it said, and I think this is true, if God was a God we could understand, if we could understand his plans, if we could understand his ways, then he wouldn't be big enough for us to worship him the way we need to and the way we should. He's so much bigger. And that's what I'm learning. And I learned it through a hard time, but he's so much bigger than I ever thought he was. Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't get so part of my devotion the other day, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going crazy. Part of my devotion the other day
Go crazy, girl.
was about to reflect on who God is, to be thankful for who God is. So I literally sat on my bed and I lay there and I just was trying to think about the God who created the world. That will blow your noggin if you really think about it. Created the whole world, not just our little earth piece, but the universe and the solar systems and all that jazz. It will blow the mind to think that that is the God who created that and controls everything and understands everything and has all these plans. And there I am, teeny, teeny, tiny. And I'm praying to him about, my hair loss. Please, God, help my crop. But, he cares about that kind of thing. It's crazy if you get a hold of it. But that's the key to me, is getting a hold of that. Yeah. How big he is.
But I think we're in such a big hurry this day and time. We don't stop to think about it. Because, you really think about the creator God. You think about, he made it where the sun is just far enough away from the earth to keep it warm, but not to burn it up. Yeah. Just think about that right now.
Just that.
Like that's pretty specific placing, Yeah. You had to know your stuff.
You got
like scoot it over a little. Nope, that'll be too cold. Scoot it over a little this way. Nope, it'll burn them up. He put it in place. I think of the verse where he hung the stars in place. And when you think about those kind of things, but we're so busy in
Yes.
the world that we
Yeah.
don't think about the world. And I do think that's true, that we just don't give a second thought to that. We just think whatever is going on in our world is catastrophic and it's the biggest thing.
Right.
And that, there is no way that God could know. Or maybe he's turned his head, he's looking the other way, and, the devil slipped in one on him, and
right.
he doesn't know.
Right.
But I think to Tricia's point of he can do everything, he doesn't care if we ask for the little teeny tiny things or the little minuscule things part of our day.
Yeah.
As long as we're talking to him and communicating with him, that
Relationship.
So what may be small to him because he is in control of so much, I feel like it's like this balance of, I have no idea how it works. I mean, some days I've tried to imagine all these prayers going up and how does he
Sort through them like
balance
mail,
them all,
Right.
but he does,
Right.
and so even our little teeny things are very meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend who shared a devotion at a meeting I was at a couple of days ago, and she was talking about how we think God gives us the same strength every day. Like when you wake up in the morning, he fills your little
Interesting.
strength tank and gives you just that amount of strength. But he knows what you're going to face that day, so he gives you strength for that,
For that day. Oh,
Day.
that's a great visual.
Isn't it?
Powerful visual, yes.
isn't it? And I was
Yeah.
like, well, he knew what I was going to face, and the strength to do this, the grace to do this is going to come from him, and he knows what it's going to take. So I don't have to worry about if I've got the resources to make it through this. He's already provided that before I opened my papers this morning. He already knew.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, it is. But he already knew that this was going to take
Yeah.
place, and he's given me strength and grace for whatever it is I'm going to face today. And I think the understanding part, honestly, for me, is about control, and it's about thinking that I could ever think of a better way.
Mm-hmm.
Because have you ever had a situation in your life and you thought, well, if she would do this and he would do that, and if they would go over here, then all this would be settled.
That's right.
Boom,
boom, boom.
You just like little pieces. You could just put everybody where they need to go, and if you'll behave and you'll behave and you'll be nice and you'll be nice, everything's going to be fine. And it never works out that way.
No, right. So true.
And I have never, to this day, now if you're one of these people, then you need to write me or call me or something, because I've never met one of these people. I've never met anybody who says, life has turned out exactly like I thought it would.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
No, never.
Ever. And I think it's because our minds are this big, and God's plan is this big, and we cannot wrap our minds around how much we're loved and how much he cares about us and wants what's good for us and wants to make us holy.
A little thing that I've started doing, and I don't know how I started doing it. It wasn't an intentional thing, but I've started waiting because I am kind of a control freak. I like to do things. I'm very independent. And, and I like to, so an example would be we had a delay in school today, and it messed up the whole afternoon. It was going to mess up our whole evening of piano lessons, and how am I going to get from here to here to here?
Yep.
And I didn't know how I was going to pick my son up, and so because I like to control it, and I don't trust that it'll get taken care of, and it's just me today to figure it out. But I was like, you know what? I think it'll get worked out. I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, and it's going to get worked out. God's going to work it out, and it's going to get worked out. And you know what? It got worked out on its own today. I got a text from the carpool. They're like, hey, do you think we could pick him up today? And I'm like, that would be very helpful. Thank you very much. But I didn't stress out about it. I kind of gave up the control. I was on top of it, and I was going to intervene when I needed to, but I didn't go right in. I just trusted that it would get taken care of and kind of prioritize like how important some of those things are.
And let's say that you remember that the next time something really big happens in your life. That's how God uses things that don't feel good for our good. Just a little microcosm of that, because I'm trying to understand God's goodness and how to trust him when terrible things happen. And that trust gets built by every little experience like that you acknowledge, that you see God's hand, how he did come through, how he did take care of it, and brick by brick by brick, that's how I think I'm learning to trust him. And I love this quote that I read that said, it said, God is more concerned with our eternal good than our temporary pleasures. And if you can really think about that, for me, it's like, okay, so this didn't feel good that happened, but eventually it's going to be good. And like that. Like that didn't feel fun for you to have to kind of think, I'm not going to get stressed. I want to get stressed. I'm not going to get stressed. But you thought through it and you learned something about God in that experience, and you can use that later. And he's concerned about your eternal good, your trust in him. I find that to be very helpful to remember in moments when it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and here's the hard part for me. The hard part for me is I do pretty good trusting him with big things, but I don't trust him with the little things.
Like what? What's a little thing?
Like that situation.
Yeah.
Like I got to freak out.
Yeah,
Because
we're human and we have to take care of things. And like, you're a single mom, so it's you. Yeah. Everything's on you. You're in charge of a lot of things at work. There's a lot that falls on your shoulders. You're a doer. You are you rescue all of us when we're freaking out. You're the one that jumps in and helps other people. So I can see how that could be hard, because I think we feel like we have to fix everything and we have to do it, and we're the women, and we've got a lot on our shoulders and we have a lot of responsibilities, and we're just used to doing everything.
Yeah.
That it is hard to just give it up and say, yeah, it'll get figured out.
But how do we? My question is, do we cheat ourselves out of an opportunity to grow in our relationship with God when we just that's automatically our default?
Probably.
I'm here to freak out.
But that's what I've been trying to step back a little bit, and that's just for my own sanity. Of I don't have time to be stressed right now. I don't need to worry about that at this moment. I've got time to figure it out. So if it doesn't get figured out for me, I have time, and something will get figured out. And so it's been helpful that I haven't had to worry as much. But I don't think that's not going to be the case every single day. It's a daily thing of what's happening and what are you facing.
So here's another question. Does it have anything to do with pacing? And by that, I mean the pace of life. Because one of the things that has been so profound for me is that when my dad got sick, I would have to help him. He had a walker, and I would have to help him. You cannot walk fast with a walker. Yeah. You just can't. I mean, there's something in your way all the time, in helping him and focusing on him to try to help him. And it was amazing to me with helping him walk slow, how many things I recognized just by slowing down. I went to see my mom the other day at a facility, and we went in and we sat in a room that has all glass windows, and we watched the birds.
Yeah.
We just watched the birds. There's 9 bird feeders out there. We just watched them come and eat little, and they were flying off, and there's just one big fat one. I was like, you've been eating too much. You need to go on a diet. But anyway, we just watched the birds, and it never occurred to me to pick up my phone in those moments. It never occurred to me to stress in those moments. It was just like,
yeah.
And so I think, for me anyway, that it's easier for me to freak out and try to figure it out than it is to trust and breathe. But actually, stress is killing us all.
I wrote down busyness is a sin. For me, sometimes it is, because I choose to do so much or try to get so much done that I don't take that time. And that time probably reminded you of God's goodness, because you're there with her, you're enjoying the relationship, you're seeing something that God created, and everything in God's creation is a finger pointing us back to God's glory. And so if we don't take the time to see it and experience it, that's not good.
Yeah.
So we're robbing ourselves, and maybe we're making a poor choice. And so I wrote that down. I'm glad you said that, because that's a great reminder to me that and the pace that I choose to make my day doesn't allow me to spend enough time in prayer. Or to ask God for the help that I need.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important question. Is my pace robbing me of that trust?
Everything seems to be coming back to that for me. Like I don't like I said, I'm a fly by the seat of my pants girl, but I don't even enjoy that anymore, because I feel like it's busyness is kind of like, if you're not busy, like, people are like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Like, if you take that pace, you're going to be shamed for it. Like,
it's hard to not do the things.
Yeah.
Going against the grain.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like, it's easier for me to freak out and try to fix it than it is to trust, because I know But that's exactly what stresses me out. So it's like a hamster wheel.
It's a terrible cycle.
Yeah.
I know. Yesterday we had a snow day, and I worked from home, so I had to work, so I couldn't. But I saw all my friends. I saw these people who went out and did fun stuff, or they did all these
sledding.
Yeah, they did all these like snow things because it snowed and we have to do things, and I had guilt. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. I didn't take them somewhere. Or we didn't go out of the house. Like we didn't go out of the house until 5:00.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not as bad as me, because if I'd had a snow day, I'd still be in my pajamas. So there you go.
But I had guilt, and I'm like, I shouldn't feel guilt. Like they did fun things. They had an enjoyable day. I got to do what I needed to do. But it's that pace thing of everybody's doing something, and you always have to be doing something, and you have to see,
and you always know that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Before,
I know, no one cared.
I called you weren't home, Yeah. And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking the other day before caller ID. Caller ID.
Oh,
y'all remember the days before caller ID?
Oh, yeah. You're like, you pick up the phone, had no idea.
Yeah, it was just like, you just got to answer it. It could be, Aunt Myrtle, who talks for 78 minutes every conversation, or it could be your best friend. Yep. You just had to play, roulette and see. Hello.
Sometimes we'd go, hello. No, hello. Click, beep, beep. Oh, something's wrong.
And it was one of those conversations if you take the phone with the long cord to your room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or you stay right near there because you want to hang up clearly, very quickly. I mean, we've gotten so used to knowing everything about everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I think comparison's worse now than ever before because we post things that make us look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
we don't only those things.
Yeah. And so trusting God is like, you look at some people's Facebook page, and there are some people I've been around, honestly, who like they just exude Jesus. Like there was one woman who'd been through some terrible heartache I met at a conference one time, and like she just spoke scripture. I've never met anybody like that before, but I just started listening to her. She was just interacting with several people, and I started listening to her, and every single sentence that came out of that woman's mouth was scripture. Like you could draw it back to a scripture, and I was like, you know why? Because she hung on to that word with everything she had, and that was her life and breath for whatever, even probably today, but it came from tremendous heartache.
Yep.
And I was thinking, do I really want it that bad? Because I think that's how it comes, is through struggle and heartache and pain.
Unfortunately,
So I heard a devotion today that said, every choice we make, every reaction we have, every single action that we take is related to what we find awe in, what we respect, what we honor, what we find to be the most important thing. And like your case of the woman, the most important thing is God's word and her relationship with God. And so that comes out. All of her reactions, all of her responses are based on that awe. And when we lose the awe in God, in Jesus, then we find awe horizontally. Like I'm in awe of the friends who do cool things, or I'm in awe of
your Pinterest page,
your baking capacity. I'm in awe of it. And so we end up trying to fill ourselves and give ourselves satisfaction in things that won't ultimately give us satisfaction. Right. So if we can change and make our responses and our thoughts because of the awe that we have in God, then we'll find that satisfaction, and we can have the trust.
Right, the trust more. The trust will come from
He said the only way to combat fear is with fear. We combat the fear of external things with the fear of the Lord, because we have great awe in Him, and then we can trust His plans beyond our own.
So true. Trust. We'd love to talk with you about it on the Facebook page. I don't know that we've really landed anywhere other than to just say we're human just like you, and we struggle with trusting God too. So if you've got advice, if you've got struggles, we'd love to pray for you. That's one of the big things that we do around here, and we believe in praying for one another. We'd love to see you on the Facebook page. Email us, girltalk@thelightfm.org, and we will see you next time we gather right here around these microphones.